Hi, my name is Phil. I work with YWAM in Paisley up in Scotland, and my topic, which I want to share with you today, is around bringing hope to a generation. Um, kind of looking at how, as YWAM, when it comes to thinking about caring for creation and kind of this topic of November, how is it that we bring hope to a generation which is in front of us? And I know looking at what we've seen around us, that there is a generation growing up in front of us which seem to have a huge amount of anxiety, a lot of despair, and not knowing really what direction they're going in. And the question which I found that they ask is, do I have a future? Do I have something that I can live for? Do I have something that I can go towards? And I think as a mission, we are here to bring hope to a generation, to help them see the reality of who God is and the hope that He brings as we move forward together. And if you look throughout history, there's been moments, biblical history and our history, moments where generations fall into complete despair, and God does something really significant to bring a sense of reality and hope in. I think about Gideon sitting in a wine press and the Assyrians, and God reaches into a desperate and hopeless situation and brings about hope for the nation of Israel. With Daniel, when the Israelites were in exile, again, God comes in and brings hope to and brings them out of exile, out of captivity, into hope. Same with Jesus, a generation which had fallen into complete hopelessness about whether they had anything to live for. And Jesus enters in himself and brings about hope for a generation and hope for all of us. And it's the same in this moment, I think, with what we're seeing, the consequences of actions and the shifting of a generation and understanding of what what we're moving towards. There's a generation which is asking a very significant question of, do I have a future? Do I have something to live for? Is there any point in this life if this world feels like it's falling to pieces? And I think we have that ability and that place in history to be able to say, no, we do have a hope, we do have a future. And I think for me, one of the key things that God started talking to me about when it comes to this, there's a verse in Proverbs, which will come up on the screen, but it's from Proverbs 13 and it's verse 22. And it says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. And as I think about what that verse meant to me and what it means for inheritance, God really started talking to me about this world as a whole. He gave us something to live in. He gave us a home. He gave us all of this world. And how are we treating that world? Are we leaving it, and are we treating it, and are we passing it on as an inheritance for the generations to come after us, or are we not? And I think that's one of the key things about bringing hope to a generation, is being able to show them and tell them God does care about this, and God does have an inheritance for you, and He does have a future for you, and this is how and this is why. It's not just about the way we speak about it, but it's also about the way we take action in that. So as we start to understand a God of generations, a God who has gifted us this world, a God who desires the best for the generations that come after us as well, we see that we have an opportunity to speak into and influence the generation which is coming up. At the moment, they are seeking, a lot of them are seeking their understanding from non non biblical places. So people such as David Attenborough, Greta Thunberg, which are doing are being able to say amazing things and help a generation start to make sense of some of the stuff which is in front of them, but they are missing something quite significant, and that is a sense of what God is saying and how He works into a hopeless situation to bring hope. And it's not about us doing kind of changing the world ourselves. It's about us bringing our offerings to the Father and saying, this is what I am able to do. This is what I am able to bring to this situation. If I think about when Jesus fed the 5,000. What was he given? He was given 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He was given what was possible by a child. And what did he do? He took what was possible and he created something absolutely incredibly amazing and fed 5,000 people. Different situation that we're in, but similar principles. We bring what we are able to bring and we offer what we are able to offer. And God takes that and makes it absolutely amazingly beautiful, and can shape something which is for the generations to come after us. There is no time throughout history where things have become so hopeless that God's not able to do anything. Because he's God. He is able to do something into any kind of situation that we find ourselves in. And I think as we think about the way we disciple this generation which is coming up, and we input and we influence and we engage with them, we need to know as a mission that God does care, that God does care about this world. Because if we don't know that, and we don't start to think about that and to ask God and engage with God in that way, then we don't have any feet to stand on when we talk to this generation which is in front of us. We don't have the integrity or the ability to say, I know a God who cares about your future and cares about the place that you live in. Which I think is one of those things which for me is really challenging about how we move forward as a mission. I think we need to take some time to think about what God says throughout his Bible, what God says to us directly, how we listen to him, how we engage with him through intercession and other stuff. Because he speaks and he shows us and he reveals stuff to us. But when we start to capture some of that, then there's a moving forward into practical reality as well. Our steps of faith have to have a practical outworking to them, as well as a revelatory understanding. And as we move into a place of starting to understand how deeply God cares about what he made, and how deeply he cares about the generations which are sitting in front of us and to come after us, we find ourselves moving into a place of being able to speak that hope and bring that sense of reality to a generation who have lost a sense of, oh yeah, God's important. Oh yeah, God cares about who I am. God cares about the direction that my life is going, my generation. He's so interested in both the individual engagement, but also so interested in how we engage with the whole community, how we engage with the whole nation, how we engage with the world around us. So as we think about the generation in front of us, there's a verse in John 10, which is how I kind of want to wrap this up. But it says, "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." And I think as we bring that sense of hope to a generation, we have the ability to bring a sense of hope to a generation. We partner with God in that promise. We help to bring to a generation and the generation after them and the generation after them a sense of wholeness of life and fullness of life, as opposed to a life which is being stolen, killed, and destroyed. We partner, we walk in the integrity of the Father, and we partner with his purposes, as opposed to partnering with the purposes of the enemy. And I think all of us within this mission, all of us within YWAM and beyond YWAM, need to take moments within our journey and in our lives to go, God, how do I engage with the people in front of me? How do I bring that hope? How do I partner with that purpose of you, that they may have wholeness and fullness of life and not have a life which leads to destruction? And we have such an incredibly amazing God that we get to do that with, that we get to partner with, that we get to show a generation how important they are and how much God cares about the direction they go and their future. So yeah, so thank you so much for listening to my thoughts.